Hello, 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 anyone out there? Is anyone out there? Am I going absolutely nuts once again? Alright, I'm pretty sure that someone out there is hearing me right now, and I just want to say hello out there. Hello, 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 hello. I hope you're doing pretty good today, because I am doing mediocre. Well, as I'm pretty sure you can tell. Da 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 da. Uh, Yes, as the title says it, I am feeling a bit under the weather. Weather. So if you crazy party people out there want to, invite your old pal kits out there for, get together or whatever, then I'm gonna have to respectfully decline. Unfortunately, I am experiencing a minor headache, and everything feels a lot colder than it normally should. Am I currently passing? No, no, no. I am currently not passing, so you don't have to worry about a single thing. But I am sure that you're interested in wondering what it is I am talking about today. And you're probably saying to yourself, hey, I thought you were going to play Morbid in the Seven Acolytes or Age of Empires. Unfortunately, no, I'm not at full capacity, working capacity in order to do that kind of thing. Da 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 is yes, I know I do that too much, but it's a nice way to keep something, going, instead of just leaving dead air. I'd rather have me doing that. Sorry, than leaving dead air. So either way, what are we going to talk about today? What are we going to talk about today? Well, I'm sure you're interested, and otherwise, what would you be here for? So here we go. We are going to talk about, um, yes, top 5 movie list. Why, uh, why they're there? Why, something. Yes, I know I'm using the word why a lot right now, but yeah, somewhere along those lines, we're doing that because I was having a chat with somebody, and we kind of brought it up, and yeah, I think I pretty much solidified what it is and why things are there, why, in particular, why they're there for being, what reason out there makes it, good enough to reach to the number one spot, number two, number three, number four, number five. Barely started, and my mouth's already getting dry. Luckily, there's plenty of water to wet my whistle. Okay. Oh yeah, I finished that sparkling water that I was talking about yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Uh, I would not recommend it. It was called Vezu. Yeah, Vezu sparkling water. I don't recommend using or drinking it. Well, I don't even recommend drinking sparkling water in the first place. So, if you're like a big fan of Lacroix, or you're a representative of Lacroix, then please, this is not the place for you. No place for sparkling water drinkers. Regular water tastes better. Okay, so let's get into the meat of the discussion today, talking about the movie list. So, movie list. Oh, wonderful, wonderful movie list. This movie list includes both, American made and, anime films. I've seen a couple foreign films, and honestly, well, for the most part, uh, the French ones I've seen weren't exactly entirely 100% entertaining. I may or may not have dozed off because they were so boring. But I will say that a couple other foreign films out there are just pretty good in general. And, yeah. So, but this one just consists of American made and anime movies. Yes, I know, I'm a complete weeb. I'm sorry. So, starting off at the number one position, number one, it immediately goes to The Nightmare Before Christmas. Made by Tim Burton, released in, what was it, 1993. There we go. Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993, 1 hour and 16 minutes long. Now, why on earth is that your favorite movie? Well, it's not that, God damn it. Uh, why is there at the number one spot out of, every single movie I've ever seen, which is a pretty extensive list, because I've seen a lot of movies, good and bad. So why this one in particular gets its place at number one? Well, if you're all curious to know, um, I don't know. I've just kind of it was like the first movie that really, really caught my attention. The first movie I really, really dug. You know, and besides, when you have like a good majority of the script, uh, you know, how do I say this? Memorized? Yes, I've memorized maybe like 3/4 of the movie script off the top of my head, and yeah, that's pretty. I wouldn't exactly call that normal. I've seen the movie so many times by now that it's people say, "Hey, why don't you watch something else? Aren't you tired of watching that movie?" I say, "Nah, I can keep watching it again. Come on, it's Christmas time. Let's watch it again." And they're like, "Oh, you don't even like Christmas." I'm like, "Yeah, I understand that, but doesn't mean I can't like some Christmas movies." But yes, obviously, Christmas is not the reason why I enjoy the film so much. I think it's a bit of a combination of it being, having its own kind of weird set style with that Tim Burton aesthetic. Tim Burton movies, I think, range, wildly from, you know, uh, movie to movie. Some I think are just superior to others. Some I think are not as, ecstatic. But this one, I think, really just kind of, I don't know, something about it. I think the way I'd probably try to put it into words, that people can understand other than, me saying a lot of nothing and making no sense to anybody else. It, I don't know, it's kind of like the whole artistic style of it. Uh, I know a lot of, or I should say, most of Tim Burton's films kind of have this kind of same aesthetic with each and every single one of them. But The Night Before Christmas just manages to distinguish itself so much from the rest of other Tim Burton films, along with all the lovable characters like Jack Skellington. He's this man, he's the Pumpkin King, the King of Halloween, everyone loves him and everything. And, it's just kind of this whole identity crisis of, not exactly understanding who you are 100%. And the whole thing of stealing Christmas. I mean, I never thought about it before, but why doesn't like someone else hijack like, imagine the Easter Bunny hijacking hijacking St. Patrick's Day, and then he ends up getting all pissed drunk and everything, and then he's like, and then people say, "Man, you sure can drink that good." And then he just responds with whatever sounds a rabbit makes, which I think is something along the lines of. I'm just joking. I have no clue what the rabbit says. I can tell you what a fox says. Now that's a lot easier. But rabbit, I have no clue. I'm pretty sure they're silent. But yes, you have this great, amazing visuals, and the whole thing is they did the thing like stop animation, and it took like a while to actually make the movie. Maybe, yeah. I just think the attention to detail, every single little thing, so gothic, we have these gothic elements merged in with Christmas elements, which is this holly jolly. It's just, I don't know, something about just the whole idea of someone from Halloween hijacking Christmas is just kind of stunning. And all the music they have, because the majority of the movies, the whole thing can be classified as a musical kind of, because the majority of the film is singing. And all the music is great in it. Every single thing. The instruments they use fit the tone of what's going on screen. Like the first one, which is a little bit creepy, and is introducing Halloween Town and everything. And then once you finally get over to what's this? What's this? There's something in the air. What's this? It's kind of more jolly. It's less, you know, lingering, terrifying, and all this kind of other stuff. It's just more concentrated on that holly jolly Christmas kind of overtone. And like, my God, can Danny Elfman sing? I don't know why they even had somebody else do the speaking voice of Jack Skellington, and why not just have Danny Elfman do that part too? Probably would have saved them time, most likely. So yes, the graphics, graphics, music, all of that together, memorable characters. Each character has its own unique design, so there's no ever confusing, characters with one another. Like, even if you don't remember the majority of the characters' names, you'll remember the character just by how they look, by their appearance. And that's something that I think a lot of kind of films, stuff like Pixar films, that Disney film and everything, is that a lot of the characters kind of feel the same. Like, they look all the same, so there's really no other distinguishable qualities. And when you have personalities as flat as they have it, then it's not exactly, something to brag about. Like, I saw the movie Onward, and eh, very forgettable. But maybe that's because I have a bias against Disney films. Yes, 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 yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Disney. Please don't send a Hitman Squad after me. But yes, I'd say without a doubt, The Nightmare Before Christmas gets its spot as number one. Graphics are beautiful. The whole way they did the movie, I think it's just really, really cool. Attention to detail, music, characters, all of it. Go French kiss. uh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, if you're curious about what number two comes, this one's going to an anime film named The Boy and the Beast. Have you ever heard of it? I don't know. Maybe yeah, maybe you haven't. Um, if you're wondering how I even found out about this film, well, I was kind of scrolling around on Kiss Anime. Yes, R.I.P. Kiss Anime. No longer there anymore. But right there, front and center, the film was there. It just released on Kiss Anime, and I was like, "Whoa, this thing looks kind of interesting." And yes, I spent 2 hours watching the film. Just after seeing it right there on the front cover of Kiss Anime, and I was like, "Whoa, that was a pretty good movie." And I showed it to the old folks, and they were like, "Wow, this movie's great." Uh, I think a lot of the reason why the movies I pick to be like at the top of the list are there at the top of the list is because for the most part they're very original. It's something that you can't really compare with anything else. Like, what other holiday movie can you say has a skeleton, hijacking well, how many movies can you even say, someone else hijacks another holiday or something like that? And The Boy and the Beast kind of has that own thing where in all of these 2 hours that the movie how long the movie is, it manages to do everything right. It fleshes out characters so you understand who these characters are, what motivates them, what they like, what they aspire. And yes, I watched the movie in dub, so you're one of those sub is superior people. Then well, oh well. But yes, I saw the movie in dub. The whole animation style I think is just really, really nice, and it just really it's very, very pretty. I'd say it's kind of it's a lot like I was given the compliments for about the Night Before Christmas. These characters are just so unique that even if you forget their names, it's not a total loss because you remember these characters for the actions they do, their personalities, and everything, and the way they look and everything is just makes it stand out. Like, let me give a comparison. I saw a movie. It was had Chris Hemsworth. Uh, Let me see, Netflix. Either way, the whole thing was something about an action film about boy getting kidnapped and everything from his family, and Chris Hemsworth is supposed to be this guy that's supposed to retrieve him and get him back to safety and everything. I honestly can't remember most of the characters from the films, and I saw the movie like a month ago. I just remember Chris Hemsworth because he's a big, Thor made him such a big, star that it's kind of hard to forget about him. So it's not. I'm not trying to diss Chris Hemsworth, but I am trying to diss whoever made the film because the script's just so bland and boring that you don't exactly lose anything of value from well, not watching the film. Well, The Boy and the Beast, I think, would be a tragedy to miss out on, just because it's so like the world. It because I guess let me explain a little bit of the plot because I know it's a little bit more hidden than some other films. It's not exactly one that people are going to remember 100% like Your Name or something. But yeah, so the whole thing is this one kid and his mother dies. He ends up following this beast man into a world full of beasts, and the beast man ends up training him as a student because he wants to compete for a title to become lord because the current lord is going to ascend as a god. So it's kind of like this kind of rough and rugged, uh, fighter, teacher, bear man, teaching this human boy, about fighting, but in turn, the kid also ends up rebounding off the teacher and teaching him a couple things. So it ends up being this kind of close uh, teacher student relationship that evolves more into I'd say like father son relationship, and it really does help both characters, grow, and that's what I like to see. I like to see characters, as fun as One Punch Man is, or Demons Recollect, the story I'm reading to you guys right now. As fun as those things are to have a protagonist that can immediately wipe the floor with anybody, I do really enjoy it when a character has to go through the hero's journey, have to evolve to change. So the kid ends up going from this kind of, you know, sad because, his mother's dead and his father isn't coming to pick him up, runaway to ending up becoming, this great, pretty damn good fighter underneath the teacher. And the teacher goes from being a rough, kind of like Ronin aesthetic type of person, lives by his rules, fights, pretty sloppy and relies on power and isn't very generally liked by anyone. So his opponent ends up, thrashing him because no one believes in him other than, the boy. And then he ends up growing into someone that, people actually start admiring. And, him and the relationship between teacher and student also is a big part of that. To the point where at the end, I'm not going to try to spoil it for you because I do believe it's a movie you really should watch. But there's like this big bad guy at the end of the book, and it ends up, yeah, the bad guy ends up hurting the teacher mortally, or pretty bad, and the boy isn't capable of defeating it. So the master ends up kind of sacrificing um, himself in order to ascend instead of becoming a lord. So that way he can ensure that his student, his son, his son ends up living and defeating the bad guy and everything. And it's just that kind of thing that I really love to see. It's kind of a thing I like, the tragic hero that ends up sacrificing himself for the greater good, or for the good at the end of the film and everything. So yeah, it kind of plays on that, which is something I like to see. Which is also related to another film a little bit later down on this list that I'm gonna cover. But yes, Boy and the Beast. If you haven't seen it, uh, Visuals spot on. Everything looks nice and real pretty. Character development awesome. It's a very original story. It's not something that's pushed out like generic. I know I'm ragging on Disney here, but there's such easy pickings. Like generic story about community or self progression. Regular normal human stuff. It's not formulaic. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It kind of does its own thing, but it also does play into some tropes that you might expect. But it has enough soul and of its own strength to rely on that it doesn't 100% need to hit every single one of those marks and everything. So I'd say that's where the greatness in the film of the Boy and the Beast comes. I After I saw the film, I immediately texted my friends, and I was like, hey guys, ever seen the Boy and the Beast? And I'm like, no, I've never even heard of the film. It's done by the. If you're curious, the film is done by the studio that also did Wolf, nah, Wolf Children. I mean, it was a good movie, but I do think that I prefer this one. Well, obviously, if it gets number two, then I obviously 100% prefer this over Wolf Children. They also do Summer Wars, which is another movie I enjoy very much. Unfortunately, it's not top five. They also did The Girl That Leapt Through Time, and I can't remember. There's another one they did that was also pretty well received. But yes, getting back on topic, The Boy and the Beast. Yeah, I texted my friends and they're like, I say, come on, watch this movie, and like, you're full of it, kits, and I'm like, no, I'm not lying to you. And they're like, but that's a furry right there on the cover. I said, I know it's anthropomorphic, a humanoid and everything, but just chill, give it a chance. Trust me, you're not gonna regret it. And then all they saw the movie, and they were like, man, you weren't lying. I said, well, how could you doubt me? And then they're like, yeah, this really was a pretty good movie. Now, obviously, we're at different odds and ends as to, one of my friends really likes that Your Name. Maybe I'll cover it on a later talk and everything. But for me, The Boy and the Beast definitely gets number two best film I've seen. Just because it has a lot to it that's very original and it just has its own kind of thing going on that makes it so memorable and rewatchable. It has a lot of value in rewatching the film. I think it does it very, very well. So I don't have any complaints about the film. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. If I thought about it, maybe. But yeah, who knows? Very fleshed out and everything. So number three on the list ends up going to Treasure Planet. Yes, you thought I was gonna say the Muppets Treasure Island or something? No, Treasure Planet. Now this is the one film that kind of breaks that rule I was talking earlier about. These films doing so well because it's kind of its own shindig, and it's not really based on something else, or it's not this kind of formulaic kind of film. Now, yes, Treasure Planet is based on the original concept of Treasure Island. Okay, I hope you didn't hear that Microsoft update. It was goddamn. But yes, Treasure Planet. Oh yeah, Boy and the Beast was released in 2015. If you're curious, Treasure Planet came out in 2002. I remember this movie my whole life, being in my whole life ever since my memories first started to solidify and everything. And well, there's a lot of talk about this one. It's it's a Disney film. uh, but no, that's not because I hate No, I don't. Clearly, I don't hate this film. Just I told you I don't have a Okay, maybe I do have a bias against Disney, and maybe this is one of the reasons why. Uh, okay, so Treasure Planet 2002 movie. It's been with me, my whole stinking life. I wouldn't call it a stinking life. I think I have a pretty nice life. I'm a yeah. I'm not a idiot struggling or nothing. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. So either way, getting back on topic. Treasure Planet. The film ended up making it was a financial loss for Disney, but I would say I would kind of put some of the blame onto Disney themselves, and I might have a theory why they'd want to kill something, that I think was just a masterpiece. So yes, it was, uh, based on Treasure Island. If you've ever read the book, I've read the book a couple times. Uh, it's pretty good. I enjoyed the book by Robert Louis Stevenson, written in November 14th, 1883. Whew, that's all. But either way, yes, it might be based on Treasure Island, but it still has a lot to it that it manages to stand on its own, to be its own thing. It's slightly, if you taste it, then, there's a somewhat reminiscent flavor of Treasure Island with some elements there, but it does, it adds a bunch of different spices and, you know, salt, oregano, or Himalayan salt, just to get fancy on you. Some Himalayan salt, oregano, chopped garlic, uh, you know, all this other kind of stuff, lemon pepper, and it really just changes, what was the normal dish that you had before you, and just elevates it to like another level that you're like, man, this is great. It's better than the original, and you never go back to the original ever again. Or you might, but that's only because maybe you're forgetting about it, and you say, "Oh, maybe it's time to go back to the original," and then you go back, and you have your spiced up version, and you're like, "Man, I'm never going back." Until eventually you do for that slight, that slight, trip down memory lane or whatever. But yes, that's what a treasure planet is to me. It's this dish that's already there and everything, but it adds enough of its own formula that it really does just kind of change it into something else. Yeah, it's still Jim Hopkins. It's still him, with the equivalent of Long John Silver going after this. But I'm not a fan of like remakes or anything. But this isn't really a remake to me, just because it does so many things. It changes everything, kind of, basically. The captain is this kick ass cat lady. Uh, I'm not saying I'm a furry or anything, but like, she was just like cool, this kind of badass character compared to like the dog scholar that's with Jim the whole trip and everything. And I never, in a million years, I never would have been able to come up with, you know, I would have been up to the CEO of Disney and say like, "Hey, I got a film for you. You want to know?" Yes, in this alternate reality, I've turned into I'm from Boston. Hey, I'm walking here. Well, either way, getting back on topic. Treasure Planet. Yeah, I never would have thought like, hey, Treasure Island, forget about it. Let's turn it into space. But like I said, a lot of it just hangs on its own. That having read the book and everything, that it's memorable. That it doesn't have to 100%, rely on the source material in order to boost itself up or anything. You know, like the first mate in the book goes overboard during a storm, And I don't know, maybe just reading doesn't have the same effect as it does as a film. But the first mate in the film ends up going overboard during a black hole event. And Jesus, that scene scared me as a kid. I mean, the dude just, vanishes into oblivion. You know how scary that is? Just kind of falling off the ship and that's it. You're gone into the black hole forever, no chance of escape or anything. That was terrifying. And they managed to make every character unique on its own. You know, it's like the thing I was saying earlier with my the compliments I had for the Night Before Christmas. You may not remember the name of every single character because a lot of characters are minor, and like I mean really minor, like they're just kind of there in the background. But for being background characters, there's still a lot to them. They all have their own unique, body types. It's all aliens on him. Jim Hopkins is the only human on board and everything. And everyone's an alien, but they all have their own alien qualities that it distinguishes them from, everybody else. There's a guy who's actually, two different people. It's kind of it's a head and its beard are kind of like its legs and everything. And then there's like the body, which has eyes and a mouth and everything, but it just has the head resting on top. And then there's, this kind of slime. I'd probably describe him as kind of like a slug or something. And he only speaks like, ah, God, I can't do it. Forgive me. Ah, damn it, I can't. Okay, I hope you heard that. But yes, it kind of uses that to talk and everything. And, even the really evil, crewmate, he's kind of like this kind of weird spider kind of, I'd say like crab is what it reminds me of. Spider crab hybrid. And, he's all red and everything, or whether it's like this tiny little lady that I think, if I remember correctly, she has like really small legs or something. So she mainly uses her arms to move around, to maneuver and everything. And then just the cyborg himself, he's like almost human. Or maybe it's because of the machine is what makes him more human than anything else. He's recognizably alien, but something about him just, is makes him, God, I don't even know how to describe it. But yes, and the whole relationship between, the cyborg and, the man with one leg, Silverhand, or damn, not Silverhand. I made that error yesterday talking about this film. It's not Johnny Silverhand. Long John Silver. My mistake. Long John Silver and Jim Hopkins. That whole dynamic just plays out. The whole thing of them getting, close together. Like I said, I think movies just do a lot of things that books aren't capable of doing. Expressing things and, as descriptive as books can be, I think something about just putting it on the big screen and everything just manages to pop it alive. So you end up, having this consistent, how would you call it? This consistent, feeling and really getting into it and everything. So that's what I say, the cyborg, being able to actually see Cyborg and Cyborg and Jack, or sorry, Jim, get close together, and then the whole mutiny with the Cyborg inviting Jim, and then Jim ultimately refusing because he's been raised to be, a good person, even though he's pretty tempted because he's close with, the Cyborg and everything, and the whole thing at the end where Jim ends up letting the cyborg go, with the cyborg aiming the pistol, but ultimately saying like, we've grown so close together that I can't shoot you, and Jim just saying like, you're my friend and everything, even after everything. So I'm still gonna let you go. But like I said, just translating that into space and everything, and on the screen actually gives it a whole new stand. It gives it a stance to really stand on and keep itself up and everything. With the whole thing of finding treasure planets being this whole kind of this whole gate that they have to find in the first place, and finding the right place in the gate, and which goes pretty fast and isn't you don't spend a lot of time on, but just the whole thing in general. The robot that knows everything because he was with the old crew of the pirate that hid the treasure and everything. And another scene that did scare me too when I was but a V lad was the ending, kind of when you know the pirates end up getting greedy, and of course there's the trap, and they take too much, and it ends up the whole planet just opens up, and it starts because there's like a kind of molten core in the middle, because Treasure Planet is that it's a whole planet, so the molten core starts opening, and all the pirates start falling in, and that was kind of spooky, but seeing something as creative as that was just kind of awe inspiring. Or Jim at the beginning, he's like racing in this kind of like, how did I describe it? The it's kind of like the boats that people have, but they sail on it at the same time. Not the big ones, but it's like a surfboard with a boat sail attached to it. It's kind of like that thing, and it's flying through the air because of course it's futuristic and everything, steampunk. Yeah, reject the steampunk part. Let's stick with futuristic. And of course, I got this pretty nice song that, of course, I can't play because you know copyright thing is pretty damn strict and everything. But yes, it's a great song and everything. I have it on my playlist. But yes, Treasure Planet number three. Mwah, mwah. Like I said, the best metaphor I have for this, metaphor or simile, I can't remember. Either way, the best way I can describe it is, you have your original dish of Treasure Island, and you just kind of, you know, uh, how do you call it? You spice it up so it stands on its own and everything. That's where I'd say that this film really punches it. Okay, I think I've spent a little bit too much time on Treasure Planet. So let's move on to the next one. Number four, uh, Hacksaw Ridge. Yes, I think I may have meant to put this at number three. Definitely meant to put this as number three, and Treasure Island third as fourth, but I kind of may or may not have forgotten. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the notes that I have here. I'm sorry, I thought I remembered. Uh, yes, I don't know if you've seen it. It's it's a rated R film. Uh, yes. I'm pretty sure you can watch it. Adult supervision may or may not be required. I've been watching rated R films ever since I was Batavi lad. Ever since I've been taken in by humans, parents, and everything. Uh, yeah, you show, I guess, what is supposed to be the equivalent of a 3-year-old Starship Troopers, or was I two? I don't remember. It was one of the two, and someone had a grand idea to show me a Nightmare on Elm Street, which scared the bejesus out of me, and I never saw a horror film again for a while, for a couple of years. And Starship Troopers, that thing, people are getting torn up in that film. Is that really something you should be showing? A young impressionable mind. I'm not complaining. And I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying like anyone think this a little through? Nah, it'll be fine. So yes, yes, no, I was not a child when I saw Hacksaw Ridge. If you're curious, I'm not just a rapidly, I am not a teenager. God damn it, I'm not. But yes, Hacksaw Ridge. I know a lot. I know that with a lot of these historical movies, that they end up changing stuff in order to make the film more enjoyable because, well, of course, you gotta do well at the box office. Try to do well at the box. You know what? Screw it. Do well at the box office. Oh yeah, one quick slight insert jab I forgot to mention. I'm pretty sure Disney was intentionally trying to screw uh, Treasure Island. You know, probably because the movie cost a lot and because they wanted a good reason to stop doing, that kind of animation, which was more time consuming and costly, so they could pump out, regular movies and everything a hell of a lot faster. Either way, rant over. Back on topic. Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge. Like I said, they definitely play up some stuff in order to make the film more enjoyable, but ultimately, at the core of it, I really enjoy the story. It's this kid from rural America and everything, and he ends up refusing to use a gun because he's a devout Bible God what do you say? He's a religious. There we go. He's a devout religious person and everything, and the thing with the Bible, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." And after getting almost killing his brother with a brick in a fight when they were kids, it really stuck with him and everything. So even during wartime, World War II, he still refuses. And even in the face of adversity, when the general is telling him, like, you know, uh, this man is refusing to pick up a rifle. He will be court-martialed for this and everything. It's this whole journey of human resilience and everything. It's not like unbroken. Levels of resilience, like being beat down for an entire day and still standing with the log on your back and everything. Resilience, but it's more kind of like that whole mental fight and everything. And I gotta say, the action in the film is phenomenal and everything. That's not the main crux of the film, even really. But the action they do have in the film, I think, is very, very well done. And it really is, it's not like a lot of these, modern action films where the hero ends up, going through an explosion and everything, and everything's all right. It's real, it's real. It's war and everything. There's all sorts of things. You see the bullets make their impact on humans, like whether it's through the cheek or the indents and everything, which always freaked me out. It's always kind of been that way for me. Like if something ever does that, where the bullet goes through some place and makes a clear indent, then it's always just kind of been creepy, and unsettling for me. But that stuff really happened, and that's what this film does well with the action. Is it doesn't try to sanitize it and everything. It really, like, the heroes do get dirty and everything. Oh, well, heroes. Let's just say protagonists, the main characters. The let's just say soldiers in general, because I don't want to disrespect either side. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a fight between two governments, and people just end up getting involved. You know, God, that's enough of that. Uh, what am I trying to say? It's very real. It's this whole. It really feels like it's a fight. That it's a fight for survival. That every single shot could end up taking out one of them, and you know end up saving the life of another. And when they end up getting close enough for hand to hand, they kind of do this this nice shot where it keeps reeling back as these people punch and everything. It kind of goes not slow motion, I'd say, but it slows it down so you can see like the impacts of like a fist with the face and everything. The blood goes splatter and everything. But like I said, the action is a small part of the movie. The main big draw to me for the film was just kind of the story of Henry Doss, or uh, let me see. I think Esmond Doss. Sorry, what was I thinking? Henry. Damn, I'm not sure why. Not sure. But either way, yes, that. Was it his brother or something? Uh, maybe that was his brother's name. Harold. Damn, I was close. Okay, well, either way, back Desmond. It's this whole thing of refusing to fight because he believes so strongly in everything that he'd even face an execution because he believes in this so strong and everything. And of course, there's a part where he really becomes a hero and stands out, where they're retreating. It's the whole area is being shelled after being overrun. But even then, as everyone's climbing down, he's Andrew Garfield does a great job, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? I can't hear you. And then he kind of has like a clarity where he hears screaming still up there on Hacksaw Ridge, and then he runs into the explosion, and he ends up saving the lives of. Let me see. How many people did Desmond Doss save? Nearly 100 men. Damn, that's a lot. And he did all that in one single night. And mind you, this guy had to, avoid Japanese patrols and, maneuver his way in and out, dragging these guys all the way to the cliff or to the ridge so he can, lower them down for American soldiers and everything. And it's just, like I said, it's something about just that whole aspect of his resilience, his determination, doing all of that by himself. It's just something really awe inspiring. And like I said, they play up a lot, because well, it's a film, so they have to keep it entertaining so they might end up making changes and everything. Like Hacksaw Ridge, the real Hacksaw Ridge it was not as tall as they, said as they made it out to be in the movie and everything. I mean, it was still a decent size and everything, but uh, uh, yeah, I still would not say that it was as big as the movie made it out to be. Yeah, the dude ended up. Desmond Doss ended up getting Medal of Honor for it, which is understandable and and understandable, and awesome and everything. But it's just the whole thing of him believing so much, his commitment to non-violence and everything, refusing to use a weapon even to defend himself against an enemy that will kill him and everything. Just something about that is really awe-inspiring. Like I said, it's probably human resilience and everything, human determination, and it really is something that a film that I just can say is, you know, I always have this kind of arguments from time to time where I say that I think it's a lot harder to do a comedy film than it is to do a drama film, because drama films always rely on picking at your emotions and hitting those certain tones, while uh, a comedic movie, you have to end up creating something that people will understand and laugh out and find funny and everything. But for this film, I think it just does it so well that it's good. It's damn good. Of course, it does the whole thing of kind of pulling at heartstrings and everything. But God, and I know the point I made and everything is, kind of contradictory to, why I'm praising it. But like I said, I think it's just mainly the whole elements of, his determination and resilience and everything. Spending an entire night getting, men down the ridge and everything, risking his life and everything. It's a good film overall. And like I said, the action they do have in the film is very well choreographed and everything. So it feels really, like it's a war, not just some, Hollywood shoot 'em out or something like that. Okay, so that's enough about Hacksaw Ridge. Moving on to number five. Remember, number one, Nightmare Before Christmas. Number two, The Boy and the Beast. Number three, Hacksaw Ridge. Accidentally said it after uh, Treasure Island, Treasure Planet. Sorry. Number four, Treasure Planet. Number five, Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke. Uh, yes, Studio Ghibli. I do think that this is their best film. Um, my adopted parents. No, I'm just going to refer to them as my parents from this point on because it's weird to keep putting the adopted part when you've had me for so long. When you just kind of pop up one day and you're like, yo, what's up? And they just kind of say, yeah, we're going to raise this thing, this boy, question mark. Yeah. So either way, getting back on track. Uh, either way, yes. Princess Mononoke, I do believe, is the best Studio Ghibli film out there, and it reaches my number five film of all time. You can go ahead and fight me on that one. My parents already do. They say Spirited Away is a lot better because I heard complaints that they said that the ending is just too open ended and it drags out for too long and they don't get definitive answers. But do you need the definitive answer for every single thing and and everything? Isn't, part of the mystery, you know, like leaving something open ended up for interpretation and everything? Yeah, that's what I thought, but apparently I'm completely wrong. Well, I'm not dissing uh, Spirited Away, not at all. I still think it's a good film, but I just think something about Princess Mononoke, um, makes it good and everything. Um, oh God, so this one's gonna be cringe. Growing up and everything around people, humans with humans, being shown this film, I was a young and impressionable lad, and Princess, I had a God, I had a crush on Princess Mononoke. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yes, I said it. There we go. Yes, I still do think that she's um uh yeah, that. I don't know how to put it into words. My brain's getting fried already on top of a headache. Uh, no, why do I like Princess Mononoke? Well, this movie got me to care more about the environment than the EPA or PETA did in all of their existence. This film, which came out in 1997. Oh, I guess originally came out in 1997 and then released in the US in 1999 with a dub cast and everything. Who the hell are these? The only name I recognize is Billy Bob Thornton. And even then, I don't remember where I remember him from. Oh well, whatever. Either way, getting back on track. Princess Mononoke, like I said, it got me to care more about the environment than the EPA or PETA or some other activist ever did. I don't know why, but it just did. It got me more self conscious and everything. Like I still eat meat and everything because for me and my philosophy on that is that humans are you know are eat meat and plants for a reason. So god damn it, I'm gonna enjoy myself with this. But yeah, it got me a lot more about conservation, like water conservation and preserving plants, the trees and everything, the forest in general. So it's always, when, a fire starts out in California, I always feel so bad, the worst for, the the wildlife and everything. Now, hold on to your seats for this next one because it's a kind of weird thing. Um, Forgive me for this one, but I think maybe humans are a bit too invasive. I know there's a lot more of us popping up. Well, I shouldn't even say us. I'm something else entirely. But there's a lot more humans popping up. You guys and everything popping up all over the world. And as much as it is important to house everybody, I do think at a certain point you have to stop invading nature. You have to leave nature alone and stop, keep going further and further into its territory. You have to leave it alone. Like I said, I'm no extreme. Like I'm gonna stick my, well, in like the soil to go copulate with the earth like some of these freaks do or anything. But I do think that there's a level of humans intervening and you know I'm gonna say a bad word, fucking up the environment. Like the whole thing with the Mississippi River and fertilizer from the breadbasket of America dripping into the ocean and creating a dead zone, which kills all crustaceans and just got life forms that can't move or anything. It's a real tragedy and everything. The stuff that we do, know, whether it's God, every time there's an oil spill, I think it's that's a tragedy on its own, and that's kind of why I like Princess Mononoke. It's because I think it really does kind of talk about some of these elements, like whether like the main villain of the film is this lady that's all industrial and everything, and you somewhat sympathize with her, but at the same time you acknowledge that what she's doing is completely and totally wrong. You can like her for the aspect of taking in people, fixing them up, and giving them a home, but you also have to. Well, I willingly go ahead and label her a villain. Some others probably will too, but of course there might be a couple of simps out there. Uh, her invasive nature, just burning down the forest and everything. It's kind of sad in a way because we can't live without it, and but the forest probably can live without us intervening. But the forest has been here forever, so you have to respect it and everything. And now I'm not going to get into a lot of the plot of the film, but I think a lot of it just does so well about highlighting kind of this in a way that it's enjoyable. Like when the whole in the film demons pop up, but these things aren't necessarily demons. They're guardians of the forest, like a giant boar, or you know, and it ends up becoming a demon in the first place because it ends up being poisoned by humans and metal and musket balls and everything. So I've always kind of taken it as like an analogy that God, I don't know if I'm using the word analogy or metaphor right today. Sorry, my brain's not working 100%. My head's not working 100%. But yeah, the whole thing is, this boar was the normal, well, he wasn't exactly normal. He was a boar king or, god or something. But, the demons we end up facing, like, the depletion of the poles and everything, it's because we're doing it by ourselves. The demons we end up fighting are the demons we end up are the demons we end up fighting are of our own creation and everything. So, yeah, the film really does do a lot well about of course, not just from saying about the environment and everything, but the story itself is, I think, is very solid, and the acting they have, or the voice acting they have for it, does it well and everything. Like the chimps scared me as a child as well. When they say like, "Give us the human, we will consume his flesh and defeat the humans." And that's when Mononoke is like, they'll become the monsters yourselves, and you're like, but the humans will be defeated, but you'll be no better than they are, and everything. And it just kind of, I think, goes together well. And of course, the forest spirit was a little creepy too, because it's kind of like a a deer, but has kind of like a face reminiscent of an old man and everything. And just the whole supernatural elements in it do the movie justice. And I'm going to be skipping over the plot of the film. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Uh, but either way, skipping to the end. Uh, the way my old man kind of has a problem with it is that he thinks it goes on for too long, and he doesn't quite get the whole forest spirit thing and everything. But at the end of the film, they end up, the lady ends up, the evil lady ends up shooting the head off the forest spirit, ends up looking for its head, and while it's doing so, it's killing everything that it touches and its path and everything. And at the end, the main character, which is an exiled prince in Mononoke, end up offering its head back while being burned and cursed with its blood that's spewing out of this pot. And when it gets its head back, the whole land rejuvenates itself. And the whole thing is that I don't understand why my dad couldn't get it. Why my old man couldn't get it. I understood it perfectly, and I'm well, definitely not younger than him. But I've spent a lot less time in the human world than he has. So, maybe something about being human you just couldn't get or something. But, the whole thing is it's rejuvenating the land and everything. And that the forest is starting over again. Because they have these things, they're kind of like minuscule, and they have these heads that kind of make the sound of a crank when they crank it up, and they kind of do the bobblehead thing, where they kind of shake in place and everything after the cranks. And they're supposed to define this, they're the forest spirits and everything. And at the end of the film, only one, they all end up dying when the forest spirit dies, and then one ends up popping back up. So it shows, it's a return from nature and everything in the forest. So I don't understand why that was so difficult to understand, but whatever. Maybe I'm just a higher intellectual. But yes, I enjoyed the film for its fantasy elements mixed in with the message that they do get that comes across pretty well. It actually has me. Oh, sorry. Please ignore that audio. uh, it just does a lot that it stands on its own. God, I mean, the plot's so original and everything, and it really does get you thinking about the environments and everything, and not in a way where it's really, how do I say it? It's not preachy. Yes, it's not preachy. It's more, it really tries to play the whole nature and preserving it and everything as a subplot rather than the main focus of the film. And, entertainment in the film is always the number one thing you have to do. And, this they did well, and they managed to do the sub plot that I'm talking about preserving nature and everything. It does that well, too. So that's why I think the film just kind of outranks uh, Spirited Away, which still has a lot of its own, but I don't know, just the way Princess Mononoke manages to get across, the point well while also being entertaining is what I think grants of the dub over Spirited Away. Oh, man. But either way, uh, uh, yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know you wanted probably some gameplay of Age of Empires or Morbid than the Seven Acolytes today. I'm sorry, but like I said, I'm probably gonna hit the hay after I close out for today. Not feeling 100%, so I'll try to recoup and get ready for tomorrow. Which tomorrow is going to be the usual Monday Wednesday time, 2 o'clock to I don't know, somewhere. Either way, yes, that's enough of me ranting about films for today. Uh, Remember, number one for me personally, Nightmare Before Christmas. Number two, The Boy and the Beast. Number three, Hacksaw Ridge. Number four, Treasure Planet. There we go, first try. And number five goes to Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke I had a crush on as a child, when I was a younger lad. I'm sorry. Cringe, I know. Well, either way, I thank you for stopping by. I'm going to go hit the sack so my head can start feeling better, maybe, hopefully. And I'll see you on the other side of the day tomorrow at 2 p.m. Stay toasty, and I'll see you on the other side of the day.